So, I took a hammer to my iPhone. It doesn't work anymore, and I want to explain why in this video. It's probably the healthiest decision for my work and overall happiness I've made in a really, really long time. So I smashed my iPhone. I have literally no phone right now. There's absolutely no way to contact me. I have no idea what's going on the internet unless I'm at this computer. There's absolutely no interaction with digital anything actually in my life right now unless I'm sitting at this computer. I don't even have televisions at the moment. But the cell phone is the most important thing, and I want to explain why I think this is the best thing I've done in a long time, and why I think you should be able to at least spot this happening to you. If you're constantly not able to focus on something, if you're constantly having just weird thoughts jumping into your head, not like weird creepy thoughts, just like you're constantly shifting what you're thinking about. You can't sit still without having just one clear train of thought. You're constantly, what's going on over here? What's the weather like? What's this happening over here? You can't read a book. You can't sit down and work for 3 hours straight on one thing. This is why. Okay, and it's going to take me a few minutes to explain. So if you can just resist that urge that's been embedded in your head right now to go click around on distracting videos, the 100th PewDiePie video or cat video in the sidebar right now, it will help out. If not, well, you're literally suffering from the thing I'm going to point out in this video. See, I'll explain why I smash objects and break them all the time, video game consoles, televisions, and whatnot. It's a short answer, but I need to explain how phones and devices like your phone affect your subconscious, and it's going to make really crystal clear why you just can't have these things in your life if you want to be as smart as you possibly can be. Here's why. Now look, we can talk about phones being toxic, we can talk about them literally being very likely to cause cancer and tumors, but we'll just kind of skip all the basic, just straightforward debates right now and just focus on one thing. So the way your body decides how it's going to behave, what it's going to think about, how it's going to interact with the world, for lack of better words, is you have your logical conscious mind, and then you have your subconscious, which is about 1,000 times more powerful. So I would honestly say that your logical conscious mind probably controls you about 10%. Your subconscious, while you're not actually thinking anything, is way smarter. It has a photographic memory. It remembers literally everything. It doesn't forget anything. It is also going to control you much more than your conscious mind. This is why people can't lose weight. This is why people can't do anything beneficial in their lives, because the subconscious is going to control what you want to do and how you're going to go about interacting with the world. It's just how it's going to be. And so if you really want to do anything in your life, you have to understand how to program your subconscious mind. And the reason why people have trouble doing this, and it's so dangerous, is because the subconscious mind doesn't have an opinion on what's good or bad. It's literally a tape recorder. It just tape records what's going on and then associates it with a dopamine release, which is good, or pain, the feeling of pain or discomfort, which is bad. That's it. And then what it does is it looks at the patterns leading up to these things and associates the patterns with those things. If the pattern is triggering a lot of dopamine, it's releasing a lot of good things, it's going to say we need to do more of that. This is why people can't stop drinking alcohol. They can't stop eating cake, because this pattern obviously is releasing lots of dopamine. And of course it's negative for you, but the feeling of being overweight, the feeling of being depressed, the feeling of looking in the mirror and going, wow, I look like shit, isn't associated with dopamine or pain in the strong ways that eating of a cake is. It's not clear cut, is what I'm trying to say. While mentally in your conscious mind, you're going to say, obviously, there's a connection between eating cake and not being fulfilled. Your subconscious isn't going to make that connection. So what you also have to understand is that your subconscious also is going to chase the dopamine releases with the littlest effort. Okay? Because we didn't have iPhones, we didn't have ways to get dopamine with little effort when we were evolving. There just wasn't. There was really no way to get immediate gratification. Think about a caveman. Like there's a few basic ways you get immediate gratification. Eating something that is very high in sugar, very calorie dense, mating, of course, or getting social gratification by bringing home a hunt or something like that. I'm just throwing big, broad things out there, but there's no way for him to just instantly feel awesome. So he had to actively go out there and put a lot of effort in to get his dopamine releases. Now, what's going to happen as well is when your body sees discomfort, it's also going to try to take the minimalist effort to avoid the discomfort. It doesn't want to do anything crazy. But this is really all about dopamine releases, because your body is like water. It's going to go down the path of least resistance. So the problem with cell phones and the problem with social media is it gives you a very low path of resistance to get dopamine. And then what happens is as soon as you get that dopamine hit, you want to go and get another one. You want to go and get another one through the path of least resistance, which is why you're probably going to be suffering like I was. And you need to understand my phone was still in a state that's very limited compared to other people's phones. For example, if you look at my phone, it has absolutely no notifications on it, or it did. There's only one app on the home screen, and I had to dig through menus and menus to get to Messenger or get to Instagram for business or get to YouTube for business or be able to check my sales stats. Even then, I'd still be going through what I like to call the iPhone shuffle, which is basically, you probably do it every single morning. First thing you do, you load up your phone, check your Facebook news feed. Okay, I'm going to check my Facebook groups, and then I load up my phone again, and then I'm going to go check my messages from clients, and I'm going to go right here and check my sales numbers. Then I'm going to go check out YouTube view numbers or what's going on over there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and maybe, go see what's going on in the world, check Twitter or something like that. And then I'm just going to go search something randomly that just pops into my head, like, mage PvP specs for World of Warcraft. And then I'm going to go over here again and just kind of go scroll through this. And as soon as I get done with this, I'm sure there's another thing in there. The cycle kind of just repeats, and you probably might find yourself doing this over and over again. And the reason why this repeats is because if you ever look at how a slot machine works, people get addicted to things that are random. If there's a random benefit, where if you want a slot machine every single time, it wouldn't be fun. But that never knowing what's going to happen and occasionally getting rewarded is the most addictive thing. I have no idea why or the justification behind it, but you get addicted to something aggressively when the reward is random. And if you look at all these things right here, Facebook, what's going to be going on in the newsfeed? Sometimes there's something that's really cool, you have a ton of notifications, sometimes it's nothing. Messenger, same thing. Sales numbers, YouTube, Twitter, same exact thing. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go and cycle through these slot machines that your phone creates, and then you're just screwed at this point. And now I can't even imagine other people's phones, because when my phone was put away, it's put away, but I'd still always feel the urge to take it out and do this shuffle that I'd have to fight. But other people's phones, like, holy shit, you see people with iWatches, you see people with iPhones, not only do they have this shuffle constantly tempting their head, but they have notification after notification after notification after notification buzzing at all times of day, plus text messages, plus phone calls to drag you back to that motherfucking thing over and over again, and then re-inject you into that shuffle, so that you literally in the span of an hour get interrupted about 10 times and dragged into that shuffle or strong temptation too. It's completely out of control. Really though, it comes down to two things. First off, fighting the urge to do the shuffle in the first place is a massive drain on willpower. Every time you say no to something, your ability to say no to other things diminishes. This is why when you're on low sleep, or you're hungover, or you're drunk, you're not able to resist temptations. That's because it takes active energy in your brain, the chemicals in your brain. It takes active amounts of energy and a certain amount of chemicals to consistently resist something. This is why if you go and offer a person a cake, and you offer a person a chance to play a video game, and then you offer someone a credit card offer, they're going to be much more likely to take that credit card offer than if you hadn't offered them those things in advance. It weakens your willpower. There's tons of studies on this that will prove that. And so if you're having this urge in your head all day, you're just draining your battery of willpower and focus throughout the day. You have to keep this in mind, because focusing takes willpower. Focusing on what you're working on, focusing on reading a book, focusing on one thing at a time takes a lot of willpower, and you're constantly getting that urge every moment of the day. I'll be walking on the street and you're never actually completely alone. You're constantly, all right, if I get bored for 2 seconds, I'm going to whip out my phone. This is why you see people at dinner. This is why you see people when they're out. They can't not look at their phone every 5 minutes. That urge is there. And during that 5-minute period, they're fighting that urge, and then they break. And then it just gets to the point where it's so weak that they can't even put their phone away. You're loading up the same thing you looked at 5 minutes ago. The even worse symptom of this is that your subconscious starts to be trained in a way that very, very short attention spans and constant jittery thoughts is the default, because it's rewarding. You got to think about it. When you're going through your phone, dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit for doing nothing. And so your brain's going to be like, oh, fuck going and working on something, fuck going and doing something hard, fuck doing anything other than this right here, because I'm getting so much dopamine doing this. I'm getting so much. This is way better than anything else out there. And don't turn off the notifications. Don't get rid of your phone. This is where we need to be at. This is where we need to be at. And so your natural train of thought, if you've ever been sitting around without your phone, you can't focus on anything. You have random thoughts constantly entering your head, and you can't just keep a train of thought for a long time. Why? Because your brain has been designed and wired to think like this. And it gets nuts. Like, I'm sure some of you will go to bed and then you'll wake up in the middle of the night to check your fucking phone. What's going on here? What's new? What new thing is going on here? Or you have a bunch of notifications. Okay, you're some single guy. Did any girl message me or something? Like, it's absolutely out of control. You are never alone with your own thoughts or your own head. So, early this week, I got up in the morning and I looked at the damn thing and I'm just like, fuck this. And I just took it and smashed it. The end. And it's nice because now when I'm walking down the street, I'm alone. When I'm sitting up in my bedroom going to bed, I'm alone. There's no way to contact me. There is absolutely nothing to take my focus or nothing else for me to do other than just focus on where I'm at this point in time. There's no chance of anyone calling me. There's no notifications. There's no sales numbers to check. I'm just off. I'm completely isolated. And that's actually been really cool because when I sit down to go to bed, it's just me and a book. That's it. There's no outside world. When I'm walking down the street or when I'm talking to something, there isn't that side thing in the back of my head. If you think about when you look at people who are using phones, or when even I had my phone, there's always some other conversation you're involved on. There's always some, by conversation I mean some search, some data that you're trying to gather, some new thing that you want to check out. There's always that 20% of your attention or focus that's, hey, what's going on here? You're never actually there. And that's just debilitating for social interaction. It's debilitating for focusing. And it's just nuts. These things are such bad news. And in general, just this past week alone, it's allowed me to have much clearer thoughts because my brain is getting wired again to just have a consistent stream of thoughts and go from point A to point B instead of constantly changing points over and over and over and over again. And when I'm working, I'm just going to work on one thing. There isn't 600 different things dragging me in different directions. Of course, when I'm on a computer, that's still not great. But because my brain is also wiring itself back to just doing one thing at a time, because that's the only thing it has to do. There's nothing else. There's no other way for it to go. It's not that I'm like superior willpower. There's just no other outlets or tunnels for it to tunnel down. And so I'm able to get my work done a lot faster and make less mistakes. And so I just wanted to make this video to kind of point that out and how your brain is probably working if you're using your phone. And most people are way worse than I was with my phone. They have notifications. I see people with iWatches. That's insane. It's insane. You literally have a device on your wrist combined with your phone to notify you and bug you at all hours of the day so that you can never focus on anything ever again other than whatever the hell is going on over there. So I just want to wrap this video up with two final things. First off, I'm going to hear tons of people saying I need it for business, I need it for this thing, I need it for that. No, that's not true. That's not true. I want to talk about that. And then two, I want to talk about why I smash things instead of putting them in a drawer or giving them to a friend or something like that. So first off, for business, no, you don't. You literally do not. At Hyros, how I do most of my business is through Facebook messengers with really high-ticket clients. We put our people in rooms with them, and then we chat through there because most people have Facebook Messenger always connected to their phone. So it's a really good way to get a hold of them. Not a good way for me to be contacted, but it's a great way to get a hold of other people. So when people tell me, oh, I need this so I can talk to clients, I can talk to business. No, you don't. From 9 to 5 o'clock, if your product is good and what you're offering is good and you're providing a good service, you have more than enough time to be at your computer and talk to clients, or I'll give a solution to the phone here in a second. I've survived just fine without it. I have a social media following. I have tons of Facebook groups. I have multiple Slack channels. I have Facebook where I'm in contact with tons of clients. 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, when I'm off the computer, it's been just fine. It's okay. All right, nobody's like, where's this guy? Just no. And you can just have one of your assistants or people message the client who's trying to hit you at 7 o'clock, say, hey, he'll be back tomorrow. He doesn't have a phone. The end. Okay? And you think people are going to like freak out and you can't constantly be in contact with people you don't need to. Well, it's actually pretty nice for them too, because they know that if you're not answering, you're just not going to answer. This is when you're going to answer. And you also don't have any pressure to respond to people either, so you're just done. You don't have to talk to anybody. And you're probably thinking like, well, no, this might hurt my business. Trust me, you're probably going to be 10 times more productive. The payoffs for not having a phone are going to be way more than the payoffs of having a phone. Like, sure, you might catch an extra deal here or there, but over the course of a year, those extra few deals and those extra few things that were enabled by a phone, the cons of the phone are going to far outweigh them. And the benefits of not having a phone are going to outweigh those significantly more. Now, how do I call people? Oh, you need your phone to call people. I just have a Google Voice account. I can call people from my computer. If I need to call someone, I'll just call from my computer. What if you need a phone because you're on the go because you're a real estate agent? Get a SIM card. Just get a flip phone. You don't need these devices in your life. Have a flip phone for clients, and then get rid of that phone when you're not around it. And then finally, what if you need to call Ubers or whatnot? Here's what you do. You take your SIM card out of your phone, and you have a phone designated for Ubers. Put it in a drawer. Okay, just put it in a drawer. I don't do this, but just get your iPhone, put Uber on it, put it in a drawer. It can't be used except for Uber. Then when you go out and stuff, if you need Ubers and whatnot, take your phone with you. The end. Okay, that's all there is to it. And delete every app on there except Uber. Good, you're good to go. So that's the answer to that. And finally, why do I smash things? If you've ever watched my channel, you notice I've smashed my PlayStation. I've smashed televisions. I've smashed my iPhone. Here's exactly why. Because, yeah, there's all sorts of other alternatives that are cleaner and more responsible and more financially fiscal than smashing expensive objects I own. But the reason for that is because it's hard to get rid of those things. Have you ever had a video game? Can you imagine? It's very difficult to go in there and delete the character. So, for example, when I was really addicted to The Witcher 3, I knew that if I still had access to that save file, even if I threw away the disc, even if I threw away the controller, I just ship a new controller, and I just ship a new disc in. Like, one thing I do with video games is I just snap the disc so I couldn't play them anymore. And the reason why I do that is because I know that unless it's super difficult for me to get access to that dopamine hit, I'll find a way to get there. I'll find a way to get there. If you've ever had ice cream in your house, I want you to think about all the times that you've broken down willpower-wise. When have you done it? When the thing is in your reach. Look, your subconscious is a very bad judge of what's going to make you actually fulfilled in your life. It only looks at dopamine, and it only looks at pain. And those are actually really bad indicators of what's good for you. For example, you can get the biggest dopamine rush ever doing heroin. Does that mean you want to do heroin? No, but your body and subconscious will say this pattern right here has the highest dopamine connection, therefore repeat pattern. And it's gonna push you in that direction. And the only way to counter that is by making the pattern to get there such a pain in the ass that your mind goes, maybe let's go work on business, because that's easier to get to. And so you need to make those dopamine hits to get to the good things in your life easier to get to, and you need to make those dopamine hits for the bad things extremely difficult. And so with my phone, man, I've tried the whole one app, disable notifications, put it in a drawer. That urge is still there, and I know that urge is draining me. So, you know the best way to make sure that I don't have this problem at all? Smash the fucking thing. Just smash it. That's it. Done. You want to stop watching TV? One, get a hammer, smash your television. You won't have the problem anymore. Or at bare minimum, get your power cords, throw them in water. You can't use it anymore. If you keep playing your PlayStation too much, take your PlayStation, destroy it. It sucks. It sucks, but you don't have the urge to do it anymore because the urge is the path of least resistance, and if the resistance is too great, it's not gonna happen anymore. So that's why I do that. So I think you should listen to this video because it's helped me a lot, and that's what this channel is for. So I'll see you in the next video, and if you like this video, be sure to go below and leave a comment. Give me some feedback. Give me your thoughts. I respond to comments in the first day.